You're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Green Bay Packers content. Created for the fans by the fans. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know whenever we go live. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Packers_access. Go Pack Go. Enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us, 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks. The plan is to dive into the NFL Pro preview and see some of the key insights around this game. And we'll also hit on the chat, of course, as we are on to Seattle. All right, so first things first, though, Tim, I just scarfed down some Jersey Mike's Big Club sandwich. So Jersey Mike's sponsor the show. It's going to be hard to stay awake here. We're going to do it, though. We're going to get through this, all right? And I know the
missus made beef and broccoli tonight, homemade with some rice. So, yeah, I feel you, man. I'm ready for a nap myself.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so let's jump into chat real quick. We got United Bates in the house, Mr. Larry Cano, Joyce Martha, good to see you. She says, Joyce. Yeah, I made it for a live one. Joyce also went on to say, if AFAM doesn't show, I may have to leave. So there you go. We now know what AFAM's burner account is. It's Joyce Martha.
I was gonna say, where's AFAM? He's not here yet.
How many times are you gonna come to my press conference late?
I'm sure he's doing something to annoy someone right now. I guarantee you that. That's just AFAM's MO, which we love him here, right? Let's see. Harry Cheese in the house. We got Jay. We got Carl K. Packers Kingdom. Appreciate everybody swinging through. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hit that like button on your way in. Grab you a drink, settle in, and let's enjoy the show here. First things first, Tim came across the wire earlier today. You guys know we were told, there's nothing Zadarius could do. He couldn't stop his momentum, blah, blah, blah. Well, I said, that's odd. So this was a foul, and the refs completely ignored it. Tom Pelissero tweeted out, the NFL fined Lions defensive end Zadarius Smith $6,722 for roughing the passer, blow to the head / neck area last week. Smith hit.
Then we'll take 15 yards when we play Detroit in the playoffs then. Just give us 15 yards right away then.
Exactly, just right off the bat, right?
Yep.
I love that Tom Pelissero did specify that no flags was thrown. Now, listen, Tom Pelissero knows every Packers fan is going to retweet that, so he's going to get some play. And mission accomplished there, old Tommy. So, again, man, it's frustrating because we got to get to the point where when you have something like this that obviously happens, it should be able to be looked at. I don't buy into the whole argument that, well, game's going to take too long if you look at a little, every penalty or this or that. They have done such a good job from the booth, getting calls right, kind of in conjunction with the refs on the field without throwing a challenge flag. Hey, we did – I can't remember what it is they call initial review or something like that.
Oh, replay assist. Yeah.
Yeah. That situation right there is they're lining the ball up to get ready for the next play and everything. Somebody in New York saying, oh, boys, we missed one. Call it down, get it right. And listen, if all these flags were against the Packers, I would still feel the same way because it's get the call right. That's the number one goal. You want to come away from a game, even when you lose, feeling like, hey, look, we did what we could and we wasn't good enough. When you come away with 5, 6, 7 different penalties where you feel like, holy cow, boy, we really got the shaft there, that's when you come away pissed off and just not feeling fulfilled as a fan,
And I'm sure Zadarius Smith is really going to feel that $6,700 ding in his checkbook, like that's really going to hurt him. I'd almost rather they fine the refs. I mean, I don't, find the refs $6,000 for missing it. I wish we had, like I said, I wish we had the call, but you can't do that a week later. Right. So you got to do stuff like this, I guess.
Yeah. Joyce Martha in the chat said, add a few zeros onto that. Seriously.
Yeah. At least one.
Yeah. So, that came across the wire earlier today on Twitter. Thought we would hit it real quick. We could finally put that to bed. And, of course, immediately the Lions fans go, you think that's the only penalty? You didn't get caught? Shut up. You guys a week ago were saying it wasn't a penalty. It was incidental. It was this and that. And then you end up getting fined, and now you're walking back on your stance, which I can't. I hope we face them again in the playoffs. God, I hope we face them again.
Yep.
I'm just telling you right now, man.
Yeah, buddy.
So, next thing, Andy in Kansas sent this over. I thought this was cool. He said, very good defense talk on Good Morning Lambeau today with Tim. Did some research on opponents' big plays. Our D has yielded only one play longer than 40 yards all season. That's a 67-yarder to A.J. Brown in the opener versus Philly. Nothing else longer than 38 yards. Keep in mind that 67-yarder was cover one man, and it was Jair in coverage, right? So it was a cover one man play. The longest play that we've given up all year long, man coverage. Quarterback rushing versus our D this year was another topic this morning. Anthony Richardson had 37 yards with a long of 21. Caleb had 70 yards with a long of 16. No quarterback has gained more than 30 yards against our D this season. And he said, actually, DeAndre Swift had a 39-yard run for the University of Chicago Bears. Maybe 2 more wins, and they're bowl eligible. There you go. So I appreciate you there. And anything you want to hit on there, Tim, with what he pointed out. That's again, it's all about controlling the explosives, and that's why you look up and all of a sudden, bang, we're a top 10 defense.
Yeah, no, it's a great point by Andy for sure. I mean, especially digging into the numbers a little bit there, it makes us feel just a bit better about, how we're playing out there. And, when you're dealing with a threat like Geno Smith, sometimes going back and looking at, we've played against a few mobile quarterbacks this year, and we've done okay to this point. And it's important to remember that. Of course, we're not the same team we were a few weeks ago. We're grinding towards the end of a season here. We're a little thin. They're a little thin. Things are a little different. But I think if we play sound fundamental ball and keep him in the pocket, keep him in the well, I think we'll be okay tomorrow night against Seattle for sure.
Yep, I agree, man. You just can't let him run wild. And again, before we watch the tape, like we have the last couple of days, if someone had said, you got to watch Geno Smith scrambling, I would have rolled my eyes. Then we turn on and it's like, holy cow, this is a legit thing. He has been very effective at scrambling out of the pocket on pass plays specifically, although he did run a quarterback draw there that was a pretty good gainer too. So he can definitely make things happen with his legs for sure.
Yeah, if anything, that's something we got to watch out for, right? The deception with a designed quarterback run or something that catches us off guard a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. And we'll keep you guys posted here live on the show as the Heisman Trophy ceremony is going on right now. Looks like they got everybody on the stage, and I'm sure they'll drag it out as long as they possibly can. But we'll find out if it's Travis Hunter or it's what is it, Genty, I think is his name, the running back from Boise State. It's just absolutely dynamic. So we'll see who wins the Heisman tonight. Back to the officiating conversation, Tim. Carl K says there's no quality control in NFL refs. Tim's right. Find the refs. There's got to be some kind of penalty if you're going to fix it. That's for sure. Joyce Martha said, find the refs. Agree, Tim. So here's the problem with that, though, right? As Tim goes through every screenshot of officials that we've got. I love it. The problem with that is it removes those blurred lines that I think the league likes, to be honest with you. I think they like that little bit of, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, that's why we have a chip football, but we don't use it. We don't use the technology officially.
Bingo.
They know exactly where that ball is every single down, every single play. They're not gonna make that public. I agree.
Yeah.
I think they like it. You can blame the human element. You can blame the errors on the human error factor, using that as a disguise for your ability to control some of the outcomes of these games. I mean, let's be real. We don't need to even pretend anymore like it's objective, right?
That's got to be, I mean, again, they can fix it in a heartbeat.
Yep.
There's got to be a reason behind it, right? And as Jared Jones once said, any publicity is good publicity. So even if it's, man, the league's really screwing this up, you're talking about the league and they believe that's good for business. So one thing's for sure, Tim, we're not going to stop watching, right? Not going to happen. So they have us hook, line, and sinker, and I'm man enough to admit that. Joe in the chat says, I have a huge problem with Halfley going, we are getting beat in the middle because we are dominant at stopping the run and no one can beat us deep. What the hell? Nobody cheering a weakness, people exploiting. So, yes. All right, so that was Joe there. Let's see here. Jay Cole in the chat says he's got Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. I really do feel like, Tim, and I know you're not a big college ball guy, he deserves the Heisman, man.
I was going to say, it's probably a pretty good bet right there.
He's the best player in college football, in my opinion. And it kind of, maybe it's nostalgia for me. That I remember that year that Charles Woodson just absolutely dominated. It was so much fun to watch because we hadn't seen it,
Yeah.
that often. So, I think it should go to Travis Hunter. We'll see, though. I know this. If he doesn't get it, Dion gonna be mad, and you're gonna be hearing from Coach Prime. I promise you, he's already set the stage for that. But I do like that Dion goes to bat for his guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why he took the job at Colorado, right? You know, he was asked several times about why doesn't he want to coach in the NFL, and he said he was more interested in helping young men, you know, and shape their lives. So he wants to develop guys, and he's certainly going to go to war for his players. And you know, that's the type of coach you want in college at that level, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, and again, he could have probably already went to the pros. He could have taken a different gig. I like that he chose Colorado, and I love that he picked a program that, hey, look, let's turn this thing around, type deal. And the relationship that he's created, you know, the bond he's created with those fans in Colorado. I can't remember the lady's name, but there's a fan that's like in her 80s or 90s, and he promised her when he got there, we're going to have a winner, right? And turn it around. It's just cool to see the fans really latch on to what Coach Prime's doing out there. It's really, really cool to see for sure. So, all right, let's see here. Another thing that came down the pipe. Our boy Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, sent this over in a DM, and it was from Dove Kleiman. And it says every NFL team's point differential by quarter through week 14. So to try to explain what this graphic's showing here, it's showing your point, you know, your positive point differential or your negative point differential by quarter as if it was an individual game, okay? And they've broken it down throughout the entire year and came up with the total. So essentially what this graphic's showing you is where are you playing your best ball from a points scored, points allowed standpoint, right? So let's key in on the Green Bay Packers. You'll see them in the lower left corner, about 4 or 5 from the bottom. In the first quarter, plus 47. Tim, I remember last year and the year before, this team just started slow, right? That seems to have changed this year. That's our best quarter of any of the 4 quarters. We had the highest point differential in the first quarter this year. Seems like Coach LaFleur at plus 47 put some emphasis on that, and the team responded for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's what we have to do to really compete. You know, we talk about contending and bringing Lombardi home. You got to play complete games. And a lot of that comes down to getting a good start quickly. I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, the game in Detroit was such a struggle, because it took a while to get things humming there on offense. We had a couple empty trips, and, you know, you put yourself behind the 8 ball with top tier teams, it's that much more difficult to come back and win. So, yeah, you see that they are they're no longer that just a second half team. We kind of had that reputation a little bit last year, and you know, it made for some exciting games. Don't get me wrong, you know, coming back from multi-score deficits and everything. But I would much rather get a fast start, and then if you take a dip in that second quarter, you find a way to win the middle 8 or at least contend in that middle 8. I mean, we've had a couple games we lost the middle 8 and still won.
Still won the game.
Yeah, he still won the game. And a lot of it's due to the points you put on the board early on. And, I mean, we're talking about Seattle. That's a team, that's a perfect example. You're going to have to come out fast and get points on the board early and play a complete game, because, you know, if we're looking at this sheet, you can see Seattle's number. They're the team that's going to sneak up and, you know, put 2 or 3 tutters on the board in the fourth quarter on you if you're not careful. So I think it's important that, at least from an offensive perspective, that, you know, we get points early and often, and we keep our foot on the gas all day long.
Yeah, so again, plus 47. If I'm looking at this correctly, that's second, third, fourth in the league in terms of best point differential in the first quarter. The only teams above us are the Washington Commanders with a fast start, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that's it. Yeah. And surprise, surprise, Tim, all 3 of those teams, and including the Packers being a 4th, are playoff teams. So no surprise there, man. You got to get started early there, getting on the board, and obviously controlling the score as well. Because this is as much a defensive stat as it is an offensive stat, really, because you're really, you know, you're winning in point differential that much. It means your defense is really coming out and starting strong too. Now in the second quarter, a different story for the Packers, minus 30 in the second quarter. And you kind of hit on it there a little bit. The first thing that popped in my mind, Tim, was the first Detroit matchup where we lose the middle 8 by a long shot right before halftime. Really, really tough there.
It's true. I agree with Jen right here. Losses were games that we had slow starts. I mean, you look at these losses that we've had. I mean, the numbers are right there.
Yeah,
that Philly game was tough. We remember week 1.
Yeah. So if you were to break it down into halves, you're a plus 17 in the first half this season. Okay, in terms of point differential. Now the second half is where we're making our hay. In the third quarter, plus 18 point differential, and then in the fourth quarter, plus 40. So we start strong, finish strong, seems to be the MO of this team. It's just you got to get that second quarter buttoned up. You really do. Yep. And for me, man, it's again, we've talked about numerous times. We've lost the middle 8 this year, like you were mentioning. And I just think we're trying to get too aggressive before halftime. I think that has a lot to do with it. But I could be wrong, man. It's like when you're handing over points. I mean, look at the Detroit Lions in the second quarter. Holy cow. Do you see that, Tim?
Yeah.
Plus 131. In the second quarter. Now, they start slow at just an even kill 0 in the first quarter, but a plus 131 in the second quarter. They got a good chunk of that against us, that's for sure, in that first matchup.
No kidding. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think you're right. I mean, if you start getting away from those first down runs and you start getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, especially when you look at some of these matchups, you got a team that's out there playing you, daring you to throw that ball on first down. Sometimes it may look good. They may be baiting you with that coverage into taking a shot, maybe canning a play and going to a pass. I say stick with the run, man. Run right at them. We've got a couple of the better running backs in this league on this roster, and we need to feed them the rock, man.
Yeah. AFAM says, isn't the middle 8 actually 16? Now, the middle 8 is the last 4 minutes of the first half, the first 4 minutes of the second half. That's what we refer to as the middle 8 minutes there. So then AFAM, of course, says he remembers his Sweet 16, and we won't go any further with that. All right, so on there. Jay in the chat says Seattle kind of up and down. So if we focus on the Seattle Seahawks on this graphic here, first quarter point differential minus 1 point. In the second quarter, they are plus 9. The third quarter minus 6. But it seems like they finished strong of all 4 quarters here, in the fourth quarter, a plus 20 in that category. So it seems like they are a team that they tend to turn it on there toward the end of the game. Yeah. And that's something we got to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, I'd prefer to go into that fourth quarter with a, 2 or 3 score lead.
Bingo. That's exactly right. So, I thought that graphic was really, really cool that Aaron sent over to us. Appreciate him taking the time to do that. I will say this, too. Oakland. Las Vegas, man, they are a dumpster fire.
The Raiders.
First quarter, minus 19. Second quarter, minus 38. Third quarter, minus 37. Fourth quarter, minus 31. Tim, that's
receiving it's tough.
That's some dookie stats right there, man. That's horrible. The only other team that's in the red all 4 quarters are your Tennessee Titans at minus 8, minus 30, minus 26, and minus 54. So obviously they're a steaming pile of dog crap as well there when it comes to point differential. So anything else you want to hit on this graphic here before we move on, man?
No, I think we covered it.
All right, good to go. See what J. Cole has to say in the chat. It takes ESPN 30 minutes to tell us something that we could have heard in 2 seconds. Just announce the winner, and why the hell is Gabriel a finalist? Obviously a finalist. I think Dylan Gabriel's a pretty good quarterback, personally. I don't know. I like that he says they could have told us in 2 seconds. That's kind of it's hard to make money off those commercials, Tim, when you just tell the winner in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. You got to keep teasing it, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I understand the frustration there too. Although they could just announce the winner and then and go on and break it all down and talk about why he won. I guess you could go that route too. But
it's true.
As Holmes says in the chat, though, wash your hands, wash your butt. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you got
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
That's all that matters, man. All that matters. All right. So again, thank you, Aaron, for sending that over. Let's jump into the NFL Pro preview, Tim, and kind of take a look at this. I know we haven't got a chance to dive too deep into this. So on NFL Pro's site, let's just go full screen here real quick. That way you guys can see it a little better. Obviously, it's an 8:20 Eastern kickoff out there in Seattle. Last I heard, the very minimal chance of rain during the game. It's going to rain after midnight. We'll check that tomorrow during the pregame show and make sure we're not missing anything there. And It looks like it's going to be obviously going to be on NBC. We know all that stuff, right? The odds are still sitting at 2.5 points. So the Packers are 2.5-point favorites on the road, which is typically you tack on an extra 3 points. That would mean we're somewhere around a 5.5-point favorite there. Points per game, the Packers are 7th in the league at 26.8 points per game. The Seattle Seahawks are 14th at 23.2, so you give the edge to the Packers. Their point differential, the Packers are plus 75. That's 7th best in the league. The Seattle Seahawks are plus 19. That's 14th best, so the edge goes to the Packers there. Record in close games. The Packers are 5-3 in close games this year. The Seattle Seahawks are 4-1. So I personally would give the edge to the Seahawks in that aspect. And Tim, that probably has a lot to do with that point differential in the fourth quarter we were just talking about, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. I mean, we've got more wins in the close games, but they've got fewer losses. And we know what this time of year is about. It's all about the least amount of losses that you can stack up. So, and I think it does. It's true. It points to that stat we just pulled up with their point differential in the fourth quarter, man. This is a team that will close out a game. And that's why I said we've got to be on the ball tomorrow night for sure, because, if you think you're going to protect some 3 or 7 point lead in the fourth quarter against this Seattle team, you're going to have your hands full.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I see that, Coach. I'm gonna mark that, Coach, for when we get through with this little segment. I want to hit on that because it crossed my mind too, and I didn't want to be the one to raise the conspiracy theory. So I'm going to blame Coach Lim when we do it. So
here's the guy.
Turnover differential. You guys know this is one of, if not the most important statistics in the NFL. Turnover differential. The Packers are +9. That's 5th best in the league, and the Seattle Seahawks are -4. That's 21st in the league. As far as total penalties, the Packers are 24th with 89 penalties. The Seahawks are 29th with 97 penalties. Tim, there's not a single stat here other than record in close games that you'd say the Seahawks have the edge. Now, here's the problem. This is over the entire
right here, this problem.
That's one of the problems too, Mr. Cleveland. To me, the problem with these numbers are that's over the duration of the entire season, right? The last 4 games, they've been on a heater. So that's why teams don't go back and watch, the entire season in terms of saturation of game tape and trying to study your opponent. They go back and watch the last 3 or 4 and the last 2 head-to-head against those specific coaching staff or the specific coordinators, the play callers, if you will. So we're only going to go back and look at those last 4 games, I guarantee it. That's why some of these numbers can be a little bit misleading. However, after seeing this, I can't lie. I feel a lot better about this game. It's not a slam dunk. Do not misunderstand me. You could go into Seattle and get boat raced in a heartbeat. But based off what we've seen information-wise, watching the tape, I feel comfortable saying we could take care of business out there. We might squeak by with a 1 or a 2 point win and not cover the spread. I could care less. I don't bet on Packer games.
That's right. That's right. A win is a win, right? And this is a winnable ball game. I'm not afraid of Seattle, but I'm also not going to sit here and take them for granted either and think we're just going to waltz in there and get a dub. We're going to have to grind it out for sure.
Yeah. Completely agree. All right. So let's hit on this real quick. I'll bring us back on the camera if I can here. Since Coach Lim brought it up, and then we're going to move on to the insights. I wanted to hit on it. I was waiting for someone else to bring it up. And Tim, you're not going to like this, and that's okay. You could plead the fifth if you'd like, sir. Coach Lynn says, does anyone else think something fishy is going on with the Josh situation? J. Cole went on and said, at Coach Lynn, I've been thinking Jai has been fishy since last year. He doesn't want to be in Green Bay, in my opinion. I know these aren't the only 2 guys that have this opinion, but back to Coach's original one, anybody think something fishy's going on? Last year, when that whole thing happened with the suspension, we kept hearing behind the scenes something was going on, and I was rolling my eyes. I was just like, I don't think there's anything going on. And then lo and behold, I ended up looking stupid and there was something going on. I'm not going to BS. This has crossed my mind the last couple of weeks. Now, the thing that gives me hope here, and I want to get Tim's take, the thing that gives me hope is when you look at the injury, right, we kind of compare it to Puka Nakua's. It's not been a full 6 weeks since Jair's had this injury. And Puka Nacua, it took 6 weeks for him to get over it, right? So that's the main thing that gives me hope that nothing is going on behind the scenes.
And my question is, when Puka Nacua had his issue, did he try to play through it at first, or was he just done right away?
Not the best. To the best of my knowledge, no. Yeah.
In Ja's defense, he tried to make a go of it, and arguably it got worse there in that Jacksonville game. So that's another considering factor. I mean, I'm the biggest conspiracy guy in the world too, Clayton. You know, I love me a good conspiracy, but you know, sometimes it's just not, and sometimes it's an unfortunate thing. I will say this: if there was something funny going on that had nothing to do with the injury, and it was an attitude thing or something like that, I would think he'd be suspended again in a heartbeat after what we went through last year.
Probably.
I don't think they would just, you know, allow it to go on. I think he'd be suspended immediately, or they would do something to address any extracurricular kind of thing like that, given the track record. So I think it's just as simple as what Coach said, man. You know, he didn't meet the physical thresholds with the metrics and the testing that they did at these practices, and they decided he's not going to play. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's smoke, there might be fire, but I don't necessarily see smoke yet. So
I can understand that stance too.
Yep.
Again, when I seen Coach post it, I immediately thought, I'm not the only one that felt that bad. And it's probably being more gun shy than anything, like after what happened last year. Right? So,
yeah, and I don't judge anyone for feeling that way. I totally get the sentiment and why it would seem that way for sure. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and I'm going to take Tupac LaFleur at his word, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Coach Lynn in the chat said, I see your point, Tim. And I think it is a great point made there. Let's see. Zacchaeus Earl says, I say let Jair rest and get him back for the playoff run. CMC had the same injury, I believe, and now look at him out for the season. I say don't risk it for now. And, you know, based off everything we've heard, that's how LaFleur approached it. As soon as he didn't meet the mile-per-hour test in practice, we ain't risking it. Let's just shut it down.
They even shut him down at practice, right? He was done. Yeah. That was it.
Didn't even I think he must have tested before practice, and they didn't even let him practice. That's kind of the way I took it. It was either that or they let him test it after the day before practice, and they just didn't tell the media. Obviously, they wouldn't tell anybody anyway. So,
like, to me, the whole I don't want to be in Green Bay, that'd be a great argument if the dude was cleared and he's got this, you know, Devondre Campbell attitude or something happening. I would see that argument, but I don't know. We haven't seen or heard from Ja really during this time either. So it's kind of like, you know, we don't even have his side of the coin either. So it's tough.
Yeah. Jen Wright said he aggravated it during the Bears game, trying to be smart with the injury. So it seems like me and Coach are probably the only two that were a little bit concerned about it, you know. And again, Coach wasn't saying there's something going on. He just, you know,
he just said something smells a little fishy. That's all.
Yeah, fishy. Yeah. Cam in the chat says keeping him healthy for the playoffs, so he has no problem.
I'm with Cam. We're playing chess, not checkers, right?
Yeah. Joe in the chat says, yeah, I'm shocked Jair isn't out for the season with the PCL, but guess it's a small strain or tear. Yeah, probably something on the minimal side, I'm assuming. And again, just can't go healthy. And to Tim's point too, and I'm sure Coach Lynn would agree, the fact that Ja tried to go out there, you know, in that Bears game, and it was only 10 snaps. I know immediately everybody's like, here's this guy again. He's, you know, no, you shouldn't look at that way, right? Like he went out there to try to put it on the line for his teammates and just couldn't do it. And I respect the hell out of him for going to the coaching staff and going, hey, I'm going to hurt the team if I stay out here. You know?
And you got to think that's what they're thinking right now, right? They're looking at these tests, and they have their little benchmarks that they want him to reach. Yep. Sure, he could not meet those metrics, and they could say, go ahead, put him out there, give him a run at it. I think it shows how serious they're taking this, and that they'd like to have him back for a couple of games here towards the end of the year as we go make the playoff push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. All right, AFAM in the chat said, let's sign Devondre Campbell. Tim, would you like to pick Devondre Campbell back up on the roster?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the serious question?
No, he's joking. I hope he's joking.
Who? That's who?
Yeah, with AFAM, you never know. You never know. So
you're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Daryl says
the answer is no. I would not like to sign Devondre Campbell again. Thank you.
Yeah, Daryl said let Goody sign AFAM. LOL. What position would AFAM play? That's what we do. Let's look at this. Look at this profile picture here. What position would he play?
Oh, that guy's definitely a long snapper.
Yeah, quirky ass long snapper, ain't he? That's what he is. That mustache on that guy, that big caterpillar lip. You kidding me?
I think if AFAM's on a football field, he's probably a side judge or an umpire.
I think he'd be over there hitting on the players' wives. Is what I think. Mustache. I'm just being honest. So that's just me. So everybody.
Oh, we're gonna give him some.
Everybody throwing up names now. Tim Cam in the chat says, let's sign Demarius Randall back too.
My goodness.
Let's everybody name a random old Packer player, right?
Give me Smitty in the house said AFAM would play water boy.
There you go. AFAM go to All right, this show already sucks. Let's move it along here, can we? Over under 46.5, Tim. Does that sound about right to you think, man? 46.5 points is what the over under set at right now.
Yeah. I'm kind of thinking north of 50 in this one, maybe.
It's one of those, I could see it being around 44, 45 points, and I could also see it cracking 60, like I really could. But it just depends on what version of these offenses are we going to get and how much of an adjustment based off the tape or the DC is going to make here, right?
Great point by Ron here. Take the over if it's not raining. That's a good point.
Definitely. And it looked like wind was going to be a non-factor, like 5 to 10 mile an hour. So shouldn't be an issue.
Which is crazy for this time of year in that part of the country. Like to think that it's not going to be too windy. That's awesome.
Dave C in the chat says Chester Marco's still alive, right? Candy him up and get him on the field goal teams.
Give him a little booger sugar.
I got more texts and messages about, was it Chris in our fantasy league that had the nose candy emoji next to him? I got more messages about that than anything. And it was just nothing significant, just laughing emojis and text thread from people that listen to the show. They thought it was hilarious, which was good because I was a little concerned, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Look at this. Elena, I hope I'm saying that right. McCollum says the wind's 11 to 12 mile an hour is what they're saying.
Wait a minute there. Now, that's a little wind.
That is a little windy there. A little windy.
And that stadium's unique, too. It's like not a full bowl. It's kind of like split at the end zones there. Almost like, you got that opening as opposed to like Lambeau. Lambeau's got the bowl all the way around. You kind of get that swirling wind. I wonder, what is it called? Lumen Field? Or what's the name of the place?
I think it is Lumen Field, if I remember.
Okay, yeah. So like they're kind of like that semi-bowl, kind of semi-enclosed yet open. So I'm thinking maybe you get gusts, more of a whipping gust, north to south or east to west through there. But I think anything you get up over 8, 9, 10 miles an hour in wind, that's going to affect the game when it comes to kicking the ball and throwing the ball for sure.
Yeah, 11 to 12 mile an hour. I mean, that's enough to pull that fake mustache off AFAM's face. That's for sure. Peel that sucker right off. So, moving along here, let's look at the matchup comparisons real quick. Just a team overview, okay? Packers offense and overall passing efficiency, number 8 in the league. Seahawks defense, number 9. Advantage, no advantage, okay? Overall rushing efficiency, the Packers are the 5th most efficient running game in the league. The Seahawks defense, 26 at stopping it. So that's a 3-star advantage for the Packers in the running game. Pressure rate, Packers offense are number 10 against pressure. The Seahawks are number 11 at causing it. No advantage there. So we talked about it the other night. Really want to press into the running game here, Tim. It's what it feels like, man. You want to try to run the rock against Seattle. If they come out with, even with the heavy box, let's try to run them out of that heavy box. Let's try to run on the heavy box until we can't run on it and then throw. Like against the Lions, Matt LaFleur wasn't having it. As soon as he seen the heavy box, when he seen the base 34 against our 11 personnel,
he just bailed right away.
Yeah, we're throwing the ball is what he said.
And I'm a big fan of a 2-yard run is positive yardage. If you got to take a chisel and chip away at that wall 2-3 yards at a time, 1 yard here, and then maybe you soften it up and then you open up things in that play action game. And we get things going, which, of course, on the backside, will back that defense off a little, and then you can start pounding that run again and look to your guys, your playmakers like Josh Jacobs to, break off some of those chunk runs and those explosive running plays that we've already seen this year. But you can't do any of that if you bail on your run as soon as it gets a little tough. If they're loading that box, I say let's fight fire with fire. And the way this O-line has been run blocking these past few games, which is pretty significantly improved, compared to Packer O-lines of recent past, I'll take it. I say let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to the defensive side of the ball for the Packers. Overall passing efficiency for the Seahawks, number 18 in the league. Packers passing defense, number 11 from NFL Pro Next Gen Stats, passing defense efficiency. So the edge is a 2-star advantage for the Packers passing defense. Running game, the Seattle Seahawks offense are cheeks at running the football. Knock on wood that it'll stay that way. 25th in the league, but the Packers' run defense is 10th best in the league. 3-star advantage for the Packers. And then pressure rate, the Seattle Seahawks offense is 21st in handling pressure. Packers defense is 29th in pressure rate. We talked about that with the actual pressure percentage. That's a 1-star advantage for the Seahawks, okay? So with that being said, and based off what we've seen on tape, I feel like we will continue to stop the run. We'll try to keep Geno Smith from running all over the field with that scrambling ability he's shown the last few weeks. And I'm okay if we don't hardly pressure him at all. I really am. Make sure that you got enough hats on the backside to stop the pass, and let's try to play from ahead. Just make sure you don't give up those explosives, because I'm telling you, man, that was the big outlier in the last 2 games of tape that we watched was Geno Smith tucking that ball and running because these guys were getting too aggressive. I'm not saying blitzing 5, 6, 7 guys. I'm simply saying even with a 4-man rush, no rush integrity at all, and allowing him to just scramble right up the middle for 13 yards, 17 yards, 20 yards, whatever they need.
Yeah.
So if you get out there and you try to do a 4-man rush and you pin your ears back and get upfield, don't come complaining to me when he rushes for 70 yards and you lose by a score. You know?
Or if it looks good and you're maintaining your contain on the edges, but then you have no gap integrity in the middle, that's what's going to happen. And counterpoint though too. I mean, I'm sure we can dig and find some tape of Geno standing in that pocket and picking apart a secondary too.
Oh yeah.
So it's not an exclusive thing that we're worried about. Him pulling a Michael Vick on us or something and getting 200 yards on the ground, but you do have to respect it and consider it. And I for one am with you, man. I hope the blitzes come, but not very often. And I hope they're creative when we do dial them up. I hope it's not always like the same kind of, extra blitzer approach. Maybe we get creative with the 4-man rush and, sprinkle in a nickel blitz or a safety blitz here and there and see how that looks. Or again, maybe some of that Mike or Will fire we talked about just to keep them on their tippy toes a little.
Yeah, definitely. So again, just a recap here. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. We had 5 of the 6 in just the overall at a glance. And then when you went to the team overview, we've got 1, 2, 3 advantages and pretty significant advantages, 1 disadvantage, and 2 that were no advantage. So we've seen nothing up to this point that would suggest, man, the Seahawks should win this game, right? And that kind of explains the point spread. But again, any given Sunday, anything can happen for sure. Let's look at some keys to the game in terms of matchup insights here, okay? First things first, Josh Jacobs is the first player to have 7 rushing touchdowns over a 3-game span since Jonathan Taylor in 2021. You guys remember Wisconsin's finest, Jonathan Taylor, dominant in 2021. So Josh Jacobs scoring at a clip that kind of rivals what Jonathan Taylor did in 2021. We've seen it, Tim. I better not see 1 jet sweep inside the 5 is all I got to say. And I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm with you.
Are you sure, Tim? Are you sure you're with me?
I'm 100% with you, Clay. I feel like that's where we get too cute, is we get inside that, that gold zone or the green zone, whatever you want to call it. When you're, inside that 5, you got first and goal situations. I'd rather run a read option or something, let Jordan keep that ball and just walk it in than getting too cute with the razzle dazzle, right? I like the jet motion. I like the orbit motion. I like that creativity back there, but I like it in the middle of a drive, in the middle of the field to catch a defense off guard. I don't like it when it's 3rd and goal and you're trying to get cute, when all you got to do is pound that rock to Josh Jacobs and let him get you 3 yards.
Yeah, definitely. Jen Wright in the chat says Cooper's strip sack fun. I'm really excited to see Cooper back on the field, man.
Let's go.
He was so dynamic. It was a lot of fun seeing him just kind of turn it loose as he got more and more comfortable early in the year.
It'll be interesting, like you said, what his snap count's going to look like, in this game, getting him back.
Yeah. Dave C in the chat says jet sweep to Malik Heath on 3rd down.
Sit your butt outside.
having none of that around here. Kick him out.
That's terrible.
That is terrible, Chuck. Got that right. All right, next insight here. Let's get that off the screen before I throw up on my keyboard.
How dare you?
Jackson Smith-Njigba. This is the guy you got to stop, okay, in my opinion. Now, listen, if you allocate too many resources to stopping Jackson Smith-Njigba in the slot, DK Metcalf can burn you deep too. So there's going to be a nice little mix and match. I think they might do a little bracket coverage on the slot, play some Tampa 2 over the top and have a little underneath help. Just know that's where they like to go with the football when they need to play, right? It says Jackson Smith-Njigba is one of only 4 players in the NFL with at least 75 receptions, 900 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns in 2024. You got to tip your cap, man. Having a hell of a year, Tim.
Yeah, man. That dude, he's been on the radar, right, since we were doing our draft analysis. And he was one of those guys that you almost knew the minute he came into the league that he was going to be a force to be reckoned with. And that's what's happening right now. And you're right. They have multiple weapons. So if you dedicate too much resources and emphasis to JSN, then you got to deal with that monster DK Metcalf on the outside. And to be quite honest, I mean, that's where you have your cause of concern, right? When you look at our cornerback situation right now, physically, who do we have that's going to get in there and be physical with a big physical receiver like DK Metcalf, Mr. Body by Skittles, DK Metcalf. You never know. So I don't know. You've seen that, right? Where they're like, how do you have such a great physique there, Mr. Metcalf? And he says, I just eat Skittles.
Yeah, I eat Skittles, and he said I work out and I eat what I want, and I like to have a couple packs of Skittles after my workout. I'm like, man, I eat a piece of wheat bread and I got a double chin. I don't know how these guys do it. What the hell's going on out here? It's unbelievable.
It's got to be that workout plan or something, man.
Yeah,
but,
I guess that's the common denominator. I ain't doing it. I know that.
So true. But like I was saying the other day when we talked about him, it's not just him being big and physical and all that. It's, the guy's got great hands and the dude runs routes with the best of them. So I think we've got to do our best to kind of rotate help to the slot when they're targeting JSN, so we have guys that are rallying to the ball like this defense is known to do. But I don't want to get overzealous with the help and send too much that way because they got a guy named Tyler Lockett who pretty familiar with playing receiver, same as DK Metcalf. So there are multiple weapons on that offense, but JSN being the premier target for sure.
Yeah. Ron Samuel in the chat says, start the game with the reverse flea flicker screen pass. If I see a flea flicker this game, I'm taking a bath with a toaster during the post-game show. I promise you that. I can't take it anymore. I'm telling you, that flea flicker, it hurt me the other night, man. I just can't do it. I can't take it. All right, next insight. That's what I'm saying, Vince. That's exactly what I'm saying. The Packers' losses have been to opponents with a combined record of 46-6. The highest by any team with at least 4 losses in a season since the 1929 Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. I'm pretty sure AFAM's aunt played on the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets back in 1929. But
you sure AFAM didn't play for them? It might have just been him.
Could have been. He might be a vampire. You never know, man. But that's wild, man, to think about. The Packers' losses have been to opponents with a combined record of 46-6, the highest by any team with at least 4 losses in a season since the 1929 Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. So the MO this year has been, you haven't won the big games yet, but boy, you're sure winning the games you're supposed to, and this feels like a game that you're supposed to win. So maybe that's a good sign,
I agree. All
right. So let's see here. Next one, Geno Smith. Geno Smith wasn't sacked in the Seahawks' Week 14 win at the Cardinals. It was the first time since Week 18 of 2023, also at the Cardinals, that the Seahawks did not allow a sack in a game. So it sounds like they have been giving up sacks pretty frequently. And we know Geno Smith, I think, has 12 interceptions, I believe, on the year. So he's going to give you an opportunity or 2 or 3 during the game to pick the ball off. You just got to make sure you maximize it. And you got to get some pressure with that front 3 and front 4 for sure, man.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's slide over one more. Let's go one more run here, and then we'll wrap this big bear up. I like hitting these insights, though. Josh Jacobs versus the Seahawks defense. Josh Jacobs has rushed between the tackles on 63.6% of his carries this season, the highest rate of his career. As a result, Jacobs leads the NFL in rushing yards between the tackles in 2024 was 731. His 731 such yards are the most by any Packers running back in a single season in the next-gen stats era since 2016. The Seahawks have allowed 5 yards per carry to inside rushes this season, the second most in the NFL. Tim, it sounds like we're going to be running that rock between the tackles, my man. We got one of the best backs to do it this year and the best in the, like they said, next-gen stats era since 2016, and the Seahawks are allowing 5 yards a clip between the tackles. That's a recipe for not even just Josh Jacobs, but also Emmanuel Wilson to come out there and rush for 5.5, maybe 6 yards a clip.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for, right? You got to. We talk about Josh Jacobs. I'd like to see him north of 25 carries every single time he puts on a uniform, but the reality is that seems to be the higher end of his carry total if you look this year. And we've been running back by committee, quiet as kept. And if that means tilting some more carries to Emmanuel Wilson, let's do it. I'm looking to just run the ball, period. And, really, when you look at this O-line, one of the things they've done well, especially if you're talking about running between the tackles, is that next level. Is when they get to that next level, they're finishing these blocks and blocking downfield, and it's allowing for those extra yards in the inside run game. So you're right. I mean, looking at the matchup, again, game's not played on paper, but on paper, this looks like a game to pound that rock, like Jen's saying here in the chat. I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah, for sure. Harry Cheese says Jacobs has 84 forced missed tackles, second in the league. He's just been a dog this year. Been a lot of fun to watch. Daryl in the chat said last season Valentine was all over Nakua. I don't remember that game specifically, but I'm going to take your word for it.
The Rams game, yeah.
Yep. Valentine, man, again, I think he's he's a 7th-round pick, right? He was a 7th-round pick, and I think he's really held his own last year with 800-some snaps. Now, you guys know going into the offseason, I didn't see him as a starting caliber corner, but I definitely would like to see him over Stokes. Unfortunately, that just doesn't seem like that's going to happen, though. So, that would be my Christmas present that I would ask for there. So
that's like Coach Len was saying here. The Valentine can be physical with DK. That's what I was talking about. It's like, who's going to be physical with that big physical receiver? And Coach Len is absolutely right. I mean, it's Carrington Valentine. That dude is not intimidated at all out there on the field. He plays bigger and stronger than he really is physically. He doesn't look like the most physically imposing corner, but the dude plays with some pop in his game. And to me, it's just a question of how much are we going to see him lined up, with DK, or are we going to have Stokes out there? You know what I mean? Rotationally, I don't know. Plus, Seattle likes to they move Metcalf around too. They'll flex him inside, they'll flex him to the boundary. It doesn't matter. So I think though that's the corner. If we're looking for someone to play physical football against Metcalf, it's going to be CV for sure.
Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see it. Next insight here, Geno Smith. Geno Smith has thrown for 3,192 yards from the shotgun formations this season, the second most in the NFL, and already more than any of his season totals since 2016. It says Smith has also thrown 12 interceptions from shotgun, the most in the league. Smith has thrown from the shotgun on 89.9% of his attempts in 2024, up from his 75.8% average from 21 to 23. However, since their Week 10 bye, the Seahawks shotgun rate has dropped from 78.5% in weeks 1 through 9 to 66.8% over the last 4 weeks. So they are making an adjustment, it sounds like. And
it sounds like they don't run out of that set very often. It's almost like a tell, like even with them cutting back, if we see him in shotgun, I'm screaming pass all day long until they prove otherwise and hit us with a draw play or something. But if I see shotgun, I'm seeing red, and I'm thinking Xavier McKinney interception. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Ron Sample says Smith also has 7 fumbles. If that's accurate, that's a very important statistic there for sure. So we're going to have an opportunity to take the ball away. Got to take care of business, that's for sure. Another thing, too, I had read somewhere online where the Packers are one of the more efficient passing teams off of play action, and the Seahawks were like dead last in defensive efficiency against play action. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Go under center.
If you set it up with a good run game and get them biting on that run fake.
Under center, too. Give me some ace sets, man. Give me some ace. Pistol. We can do pistol, too. You just want to have that threat to outside zone stretch on both sides, for sure. Got to have it. I need that in my life, for sure. We already talked about the forced missed tackles from Josh Jacobs. This will be the last one we'll hit here. Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet. All right, it says Kenneth Walker has been contacted behind the line of scrimmage at the highest rate among running backs with at least 75 carries this season at 54.4%, but has forced a missed tackle on 36.6% of his rushes. That's second highest. Okay, and it says Walker has also averaged just 0.5 yards before contact per carry in 2024, the seventh fewest among the same group of running backs and the fewest in his career. Now, keep in mind, guys, Kenneth Walker III, doubtful for the game. So let's shift gears to Zach Charbonnet, their backup. Zach Charbonnet has been contacted behind the line of scrimmage at the sixth highest rate at 50.5%, but has been much more physical than elusive, recording the fifth most yards after contact per carry. As a team, the Seahawks running backs have been contacted behind the line of scrimmage, 52.6% of the carries, second highest in the NFL. The Packers defense has allowed just 1.1 yards before contact per rush this season, the fifth fewest in the NFL. Sounds like teams are able to get to them in the backfield. Charbonnet did a pretty damn good job running with power and getting out of it a little bit. So I feel comfortable saying Kenneth Walker probably not going to play in this game, Tim. But what do you think about those numbers there? It sounds like their run blocking isn't the greatest. It's probably why they're leaning into the pass.
Yeah, very true. And all the more reason for, like we said, when it comes to, the guys up front, man, maintain your gap integrity, make sure you're not overselling and underselling. And, don't get yourself, again, a hand in the cookie jar mentality, right? I mean, it's tempting. It's tempting to try and be overly aggressive when all you need to do is occupy a blocker sometimes and, let that line do what it's supposed to do. So, we'll see how they approach it. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room, right? No neutral zone infractions. Let's stay fundamentally sound. None of these shoot yourself in the foot type of moments. And we should be able to handle the run pretty well.
There it is. Travis Hunter is your Heisman Trophy winner, looks like. At least, appears that way. Everybody's celebrating. So that's awesome, man.
There's a guy. Congratulations.
Dog, can't wait to watch him in the NFL, man. I think he's going to be an absolute dog. And he's a great follow, too, on Instagram. If you guys aren't following him and his girlfriend, fiance, he may be married, but they're an awesome couple. It's really cool. Cam in the chat says, let's see who's officiating this game with the face.
You sure about that? You sure you want to see that, Cam?
Put it up there for him, Tim. Who's gonna be hitting this one?
Here's the guy. This guy right here.
The Cleat Blakeman. Now, when we go
Cleat
to
there, Mr. Cleat. When
we look at the average here, guys, we always talk about Ron Tolbert. Give him a little glimpse of Ron Tolbert over there real quick, Tim.
Here's a guy.
The Reno 911 right there, right? We always make fun of him, but the reality is Cleat Blakeman, his crew is throwing more flags than any other crew in the league, even more than Ron Tolbert's, who's coming in at a close second with 14.54 flags per game. Cleat Blakeman, 15.5 flags per game, 15 and a half flags. It is terrible. So we're on the road. We know how this goes. That's one obstacle you're going to have to overcome, Tim. Now, luckily, Seattle has been flagged more than the Packers this year. All right. So with them getting more flags, hopefully that balances out and you end about the same. But I'm not going to be surprised if we look up and we got 7, 8 flags. They only got 3. And listen, you just got to figure out a way to get by it, right? As Holmes,
play through it, right?
Yeah, Holmes here says Hanky Fest 2024. I'm telling you, man. I just wish they would get the hell out of the way. That's what I wish. That's all.
Yep.
Jen Rice says laundry party. That's right. So
does this look like a guy you want to go to any party he's throwing?
Oh, he looks like he's spocking the drinks. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful with that dude right there. Yeah. Ain't no party like a never mind, right?
I love that picture of him. You can just see him. It looks like he's cracking his knuckles, getting ready to toss a flag. He's just stretching the flag throwers, getting them ready. Absolutely.
All right. So again, your Heisman Trophy candidate or winner is Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Just a stand-up dude, somebody that Deion's kind of helped raise. Can't wait to see him at the next level. Yeah, I see Coach Lynn got that. What I just said, ain't no party. But anyway, with that being said, let's get out of here. Tim, anything else? I already made a toaster comment. We're liable to.
Yeah, I'm not touching Mr. Combs there. Not at all. No, I'm leaving that alone.
Too soon, boys. Too soon. Wow, it seems like every day another name pops out and he goes, "Damn, that's not good." It's not good. But hey, did you guys see what Larry Johnson said? Chat,
Uh-oh.
did you guys see what Larry Johnson said? I'm just going to ask that. Tell me yes or no, or who the hell is Larry Johnson? That'll work too, all right? Larry Johnson. Did you guys hear him talk by chance?
Like NBA star?
No. Former
Oh.
NFL player.
Oh,
Larry
NFL Larry
Chiefs.
Johnson.
All right. Everyone go and listen. I'm not saying it's true, but Coach Lynn's seen it. That's why he answered with the party. Go to YouTube right now as we end the show. We're done. This is it. And just search Larry Johnson. Just search Larry Johnson. It should pop up. You're going to see now. He looks homely. Looks like he hasn't showered in about 6 months. And we know he was kind of an odd feller when he was in the league and all that. But just give it a listen and go, oh boy, because it's quite the strange topic there. So anyway, with that being said, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying go watch it. That's it. Tim, you got anything else?
No, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Pregame show.
That's it. All right. We may do a morning show. But I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm kind of thinking about sleeping in. It's been a minute since I've slept.
Hey, you can get no arguments from me there, brother.
All right. So yeah, we'll probably just do the pregame show tomorrow. You may see us randomly pop up with a live show in the morning. We'll see. But I'm probably just going to plan on doing the pregame show. So an hour and a half before kickoff, it's what, an 8:20 kickoff my time, right?
Yep.
It's 7:20 your time. So Tim, help me out. What time should we go live here?
How about 6 Central?
So we go live at 6 Central. We'll be done at 7 Central. That'll give everybody about 20 minutes to grab a drink, get settled in, and get ready to watch the game, right?
Sound good?
That's it. 6 Central, guys. We're going to go live for the PTA pregame show. And then we will be going live immediately following for a postgame show for what we hope is a victory party. Now, here's the deal. Anyone who wants to get entered into the contest to win the autographed Lucas Van Ness jersey, again, midnight's the cutoff tonight. Okay, midnight tonight, Eastern time. Make sure you're either a member on YouTube here or scan that QR code and become a member over at our Patreon group, patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. Make sure you're a member of one of the 3 tiers. It can be the cheapest one. That's cool. Or you can be a YouTube member here, and that will get your name put on the Larry McCarron pinky wheel to win the autographed Lucas Van Ness jersey. I know we got a lot of people entering and a lot of people supporting the show. We appreciate y'all. It's just a way for us to give back to those who are supporting us. With that being said, we're out of here. Tim, thank you for your time. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Get some rest. Going to be a big game day tomorrow. We're going to have some fun games to watch too. If we do go live in the morning randomly at some point, we may do that. We may just walk around the NFL and give you guys a preview of what games are going to be played. That's going to have playoff implications. But nonetheless, can you help me out here tonight, Tim? I'm just curious.
For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack.
And we go.
We out.
Bye, guys.